From 1986 through 1992, a certain seinen manga series was being serialized in Kodansha's monthly afternoon magazine. This manga, written and illustrated by Kosuke Fujishima, is called Taiho Shichau, or You're Under Arrest in English. This manga would go on to spawn 3 TV series, 3 OVA series, and 1 movie. I have been interested in this series for a while, and just recently I decided to watch the first OVA based on this manga series. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Anime Top Scholar, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 4-episode OVA series called You're Under Arrest. So You're Under Arrest is a 4-episode OVA that came out from September 1994 to November 1995. The anime was produced by Studio Dean, who's been the studio behind greats like Rurouni Kenshin, Trust and Betrayal, and Angel's Egg. This OVA was directed by Kazuhiro Furuhashi, who's directed anime like the original Hunter x Hunter and the Dororo remake. The story of You're Under Arrest takes place in Sumida, Tokyo, where the spunky moped driver Natsumi Tsukimoto is running late on her first day as a police officer, working at the fictional police station Bokuto Police Department. In a last attempt to make it on time, she decides to take some shortcuts to get to the station faster, but she is spotted, chased down, and cited by mechanical genius and expert police driver Miyuki Kobayakawa. To make matters worse, after Natsumi have finally made it to the station and having been chewed out by her boss, she is informed that the very same Miyuki who ticketed her earlier is gonna be her partner. Natsumi doesn't really trust Miyuki at first, but they end up forming a strong friendship as they go out and patrol in their mini patrol car and tackle everything from reckless drivers to traffic accidents and much more. For the most part, the only characters that matter in You're Under Arrest are those working at the Bokuto Police Department, with a few exceptions. We have our 2 main characters in the form of Natsumi Sugimoto and Miyuki Kobayakawa. Natsumi is the new recruit at Bokuto Police Department. She is outgoing and laid back, and she loves mopeds and motorcycles. Natsumi also has a tendency to oversleep, so to prevent her from coming late to work, she moves in with Miyuki. Miyuki is Natsumi's partner and roommate. She loves cars and bikes, and is a great mechanic. She often does custom modifications on the police department's cars and bikes. Personality-wise, she is more kind and polite, as well as quite smart, making for a great contrast to Natsumi's more energetic personality. But the main characters are not the only ones making up this show. We also have some important supporting characters like Yoriko Nikaido, who's a dispatcher who absolutely loves gossip, especially if it involves romance. She is however prone to misinterpreting things, so her love of spreading gossip often leads to more harm than good. We also have Ken Nakajima, who's a motorcycle patrol officer. He is a very good rider, and despite wanting to be seen as the cool guy, he's a bit shy, especially around Miyuki, who he has feelings for, something that Natsumi and Yoriko especially likes to tease him about. These 4 are definitely the focal point of this OVA, and their relationship and chemistry make up a big portion of what I like about this show. The strong bonds that form between Natsumi and Miyuki obviously being at the forefront of that. It's pretty rare for me to like more or less every character in a show, but that is definitely true here. Hell, even characters like the police chief and Osho, who's a monk at the local temple, are pretty decent, considering that they have very little screen time. That to me is a sign of a really good show. Obviously, you can always pick at something, like how the supporting cast is mostly just a personality and not really that deeply fleshed out, but considering that this was only 4 episodes, I think they managed to spend their time very well building up the characters that matter the most without completely sacrificing the supporting cast. But I think that's enough talking about the characters. Now, I have to talk about the art and animation in this OVA, cause man is this a good looking show. The attention to detail both in vehicle design, as well as the minor details in characters' movements, really help elevate this show visually. One of my favorite episodes in terms of animation, and just in general, has to be episode 2. While a reckless driver is out and giving the officers in Bokuto quite the headache trying to stop him, Miyuki and Natsumi have to try to get a pregnant cat to a vet. But that is going to prove to be difficult, as there is also a typhoon that's hitting them. The scene that really stands out to me is when the reckless driver is harassing Miyuki and Natsumi while they are driving over a bridge and the wind and rain is pouring down on their cars. Ken shows up on his bike to help, and he ends up splashing a lot of water onto the reckless driver's car. Just that little moment of the water running over the car is so satisfying to look at. But that is just one moment in 4 episodes. Pretty much every episode has got really good animation, and that definitely elevates this show in my eyes. The only thing I'd really knock the show for in terms of visuals comes in the form of the character designs. The main characters look good for the most part, they look distinctly different from one another, so it's easy to tell them apart as well, which is a plus. However, for a few of the minor characters, it feels like they kinda just threw something together in a hurry. It's not a big deal, but it is a little bit disappointing. The way some of Miyuki's old school friends have very tiny eyes with way too much space between them is also a little annoying. But again, these are minor characters who have very little screen time, so it's not the biggest issue. It's just something that I took notice of while watching. So to sum up my thoughts on this 4-episode OVA, the show is completely episodic, meaning that each episode is its own story. The only thing that really carries over is that the characters grow closer to each other over time. This might be a problem if you don't like episodic stuff, but for me, there's no problem. I highly enjoyed myself watching the hijinks that these police officers would get up to. Like I mentioned earlier, I particularly enjoyed episode 2, which was a mix of Natsumi and Miyuki trying to get a cat to a vet while a typhoon is hitting the city, as well as Ken trying to arrest a notoriously reckless driver. The episode offers both the heartwarming in the form of them helping a bunch of kindergarten kids take care of their cat, as well as a cool chase scene on a bridge in the middle of a typhoon. I really vibed with this episode in particular, but it's not the only good episode. Episode 1 does a nice job starting everything, with Natsumi getting ticketed before her first day on the job, and later having her and Miyuki chase after someone in a red car who's dragging them all over town in an attempt to test the new recruit. As well as episode 4 closing this OVA off nicely by showing us just how close Natsumi and Miyuki have gotten. The only episode I would say I didn't enjoy as much as the rest is episode 3, being more about Ken and Miyuki's relationship, and how Yoriko's gossip kinda forces them to sort out their feelings a little bit. It's not a bad episode by any means, but it is probably the weakest out of the 4 in my eyes. But let's get back to the positive. This series has a lot of charm, and you can really feel it. Good chemistry between characters is very important in slice of life series, and while this is more of a police comedy, because of the way the show is presented, the chemistry is just as important to get right here. Because when you are towing as tight a line between charming and cliché as this show does, the characters will ultimately be what ends up as the deciding factor. Overall, I'm just really happy with this OVA, and I definitely want to check out the 47-episode TV series that followed as well at some point. Hopefully that can live up to this OVA. So those were my thoughts on the 4-episode OVA called You're Under Arrest. Hopefully I could do the show some justice in this video and made you guys want to check it out if you haven't already. While the franchise is quite large, just this 4-episode OVA is a good starting point to see if you like what they have to offer and if you want to keep going. I certainly know I'm going to be continuing this series. And who knows, I might make a sequel to this video at some point in the future. I'm not promising anything though. Anyways, in other news, this channel just hit 500 subscribers. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you guys seem to be enjoying these videos. I don't know if I'll be doing anything special for hitting 500 subs, as I just don't really have any ideas, but if there's anything you guys would want to see from me, then leave it in the comments. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, then don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more anime related content from the Anime Top Scholar. Peace!